Hello, everyone. It's Carl again, and today I'll be talking about Snipperclips Plus. Cut it out together. Developed by SFB Games and published by Nintendo, the original Snipperclips, without the Plus, released as a digital-only title alongside the launch of the Switch. But in November 9th of that same year, it received some extra content, and all of that content is bundled in with Snipperclips Plus, which will run you $29.98 if you buy the whole package itself. It's rated E for everyone. There is no objectionable content listed, no cartoon violence, no mild suggestive themes, nothing. That's like the first time I've ever seen that. In any case, like I said, it's an update of the aforementioned Snipperclips with a few new modes and content. If you do own the original downloadable game, you can buy the DLC. I'm not entirely sure how much that is to get the extra content to upgrade your game. So it's a really simple premise. You follow friends Snip and Clip as they kind of navigate through levels in this arts and crafts world, trying to figure out puzzles and solve little problems. It's a couch co-op game where you and a friend can hop on tabletop mode, all that fun stuff to solve puzzles. So looking at this game initially, I knew it was published by Nintendo at launch, but since it was a digital only, I was kind of like, I don't really care. I bought the physical version only because it's published by Nintendo and it's a physical version because I'm kind of a collector like that. So going into this, I had no expectations. I just played through it with my family. Um, so on to the actual review portion, the gameplay of it. Snipperclip's main gameplay involves running and jumping through these 2D levels, but the core mechanic is snipping. So you've got snip and clip here. They're shaped like this when you start out, this kind of rounded bottom with corner heads. So what you can do is you can overlap snip and clip, and then snip parts of the other one away. So you can kind of shape the characters into different shapes, like you can see. Like, it gets really fancy here, but you can shape your friend into a bunch of different shapes so that you can accomplish a goal. For example, say there is a level with a button. So you have Snip pushes the button and a basketball falls from the sky. So then you snip Clip into a bowl shape. So then Clip catches the basketball when Snip presses the button, and then Clip can jump on top of Snip and then dunk the ball into a basket, and then you solve the level. So each level is about figuring out what to do and then going and doing it. And what I really like about the game is how creative it gets with the different mechanics and different things that you can do. For example, if there's a balloon, you can snip a sharp point on snip and clip and then pop the balloon. And the sharper the point, the easier it is to pop the balloon. And there's all sorts of levels and different mechanics that they do. I'm not going to give a lot of them away because half the battle is trying to figure out what the goal is for that level. Sometimes it's really easy with the basketball and the hoop type deal, but sometimes it's confusing as to what the level wants you to do. And those are generally the worst ones, where you're confused on what the goal is actually. But typically, half the battle's figuring it out and then actually executing the plan. This game is like very much a game about taking simple premise and pushing it to its limit of creativity. Like, this is literally all you can do. You can move, you can jump, you can crouch, you can rotate the shape of your character, you can snip your buddy, you can undo the last snip that was done to you, and completely restore your shape. That sounds like a lot of things, but when you look at a lot of other games of different things that you can do, it's really not. And so it's simple enough for a kid to understand. You can move, jump, and snip, essentially. But there are so many different possibilities. For example, in the main two-player mode, you can play 5 worlds, 15 levels each. Some of them are repeats of the same goal, but just like more difficult. But there's a lot of different um, objectives for the game to throw at you. So I really appreciate how creative they got. Once you go into a level, generally you figure out what you're trying to do really quickly, and then it's all about trying to come up with different situations, different scenarios, and different shapes to cut your buddies into to help yourself um, solve the puzzle. I'd be glad, so much so, I like it so much so that I'd be glad to see the Snipperclips 2, even if there were um, no changes to the actual uh, gameplay style. I think it's a pretty neat style of puzzle, if you will, and I'd be fine if it was his own genre. That is, if I had a friend to play it with. Anyway, so first, the story. Cringy jokes aside, there is really no story, unless I missed something here. There might be some underground lore, but I did a quick Google search, and Snipperclips lore does not really bring up any significant results. So instead, I'll talk about all the different gameplay modes in the story section. So you can play through all the game modes initially, but once you beat the main story mode, I believe the story mode, the 2-player mode, I think it unlocks a random shapes thing where if you can choose to turn on random shapes, and instead of playing the level with the default like clip and snip shapes, it gives you like a flower shape or someone that might be shaped like a triangle, and so you just kind of have to maneuver around that. There are 4 different modes. There's world mode, which is 1 to 2 players, which I mentioned before. 5 worlds, 15 levels each. There's party mode, where you can do 2 to 4 players. It's basically world mode, but with 4 papers. I don't know what the other two's names are. Sorry. Blitz mode is like kind of what you would think of with party mode, where there's a bunch of mini games. There's 6 mini games with variable actual fun to play. Hoops is like a basketball game. You each have your hoop, and you're trying to score into it. Hockey is basically an air hockey type thing, I do believe. Roundup is where you try to use your shape to corral fireflies into your jar. Dojo, I think, is probably the worst one. It's where you try to cut your opponent out of existence, but really all it ends up doing is having 2 characters run at each other while spamming the snip button and hoping you spam the snip button before you hit your opponent does, and you eat them up. Like, that's all it is. And then there's keep away, where there you have like balls falling from the ceiling, and you try to like keep your opponents from knocking yours into the abyss. So all in all, like, party mode is kind of, or blitz mode rather, it's not that fun. I couldn't see myself booting up the game to just play blitz mode with my friends. Like, no. And then there's stamps mode, which is just a free draw mode where you can stamp. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention, in blitz mode, there's also territory, where it's basically stamp mode, and you try to cover as much of the territory with your color as possible, kind of like Turf War from Splatoon, if you're familiar with that. So then Stamps Mode is just a spin off that, where it's free play and you can draw your own whatever. Unfortunately, there is no online feature. It's couch co-op only, but I don't really blame it for that. It's kind of a small game. I don't blame them for having to run their own servers. This is kind of just a game that you pull out and play if you have a few friends next to you. Just kind of off the cuff. Hey, let's play through this game. Not really something that you plan beforehand to play with your friends online. But that's really it for content. It's a $30 game. It's not super in depth. So past that, let's go to the graphics and art style. I just want to say this game is so cute. It kind of reminds me of Yoshi's Woolly World, and then later came out after this Yoshi's Crafted World, where everything's made out of art supplies. You can see here, there's pens and pencils and paintbrushes. Like, even the art on this, like, Joy-Con real person hand is made out of crumpled paper. So I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, you just feel so cute and fuzzy when you're playing this game due to the art style being so like arts and crafty, paper clips and tape everywhere. The background's graph paper with doodles on it. It's just a wholesome experience. I love the presentation of this game. As for the music, nothing killer with the music here. It's just kind of a little simple tune that will change what instruments are playing it when you like move through the levels, like scroll through the different worlds, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, overall, music wise, nothing too huge. Like it's a little cute, cutesy music. I like it. So yeah, I mean, there's not much else to discuss about the game. Overall, I think Snipperclips is just a really cute, wholesome way to spend some time hanging out with a few friends. It's for all ages, so you could, if you have younger nieces, nephews, kids, whatever, and you want to, something fun to play with, if you want to buy them a present for their birthday or whatever, I think this would be a good choice. There's no objectionable content at all, and I think all ages can enjoy it because um, although the presentation is simple, it's still about like working together with your friends, and you can absolutely you know you, you have to work together. It's really easy to sabotage each other. I will say though, although this game technically can be played with one player, I would not advise it given that it's the exact same gameplay as two player, except you just have to use a button to switch between which you're controlling snipper clip at one time. And that is just a pain. You can get away with it. It's not fun. You can get away with it for some of the levels, but there are a few levels that require some like action. And I cannot for the life of me see um having fun playing this one player. Definitely only get this if you have a friend. In terms of replayability, though, it is pretty low. Even if you do unlock the ability to try again with random shapes later, it is just kind of a pain. Snip and clip are specifically designed to have a curved, shape and corners, so you can make a variety of shapes. So when you're trying to make it with two flowers, like it's just awkward and just takes longer. I don't think it's necessarily more fun. Blitz mode, I said before, I can't really see myself ever firing up the game to play them. Overall, I can't really see myself playing this game in general. Again, it maybe could happen if I really feel like I'm in the mood. But yeah, some of the game, it's I had my fun with it. I enjoyed it, and for that reason, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It is a decent, solid game. It's a good buy for $30 of content. You'll get some few hours out of it. You'll have your fill. Deepen your friendship or tear apart your friendship, depending on what kind it is. And yeah, that's about it. If anyone else has any opinions, questions, comments, concerns they would like to uh, posit to me about Snipperclips Plus, feel free to put them down in the comments below. I read all my comments. With that, stay safe out there, folks, and have a nice day. Bye.